Hi guys, it's me, Kaika, and this is my voice. 6 weeks on testosterone. One of the things that came to my attention was that my audience is not just a bunch of preteen guys. Actually, I feel like there's more people, my audience is made up more of cis people in my sphere of influence who are just curious about my experience and what it's like to be trans and to go through this transition. So I'm gonna try to talk to everyone and talk about some things. I forgot something, hold up. The first thing I want to focus on is sex, because I'm getting a lot of ahas and had some conversations. I had a conversation today with someone on Instagram about sex. Sex is very different when you have testosterone as a motivation. I want to compare my experience as a lesbian attracted to women and as a trans man attracted to women. It's very different. First off, as a lesbian, my sex drive, I think I said this before, where sex was a luxury to me. If I had it, it was great. And when I did please myself, it was good. It was like it was a luxury. And now sex is a basic human need. It on a different level, like comparable to sleeping and eating. Like a woman can go longer without sex, but not so much without food or sleep. So as a lesbian, sex was this sophisticated love-making ritual, and as a trans man with testosterone in my body, sex can still be a sophisticated love-making ritual, you know. If I had a love connection with a consenting partner, that can still be that. But on a day-to-day basis, without a partner, I'm making all these sounds and breathing like this because there's a lot of energy moving through me. On a day-to-day basis, sex is very animalistic. It's very basic. I get aroused very quickly. I see an attractive woman, I think about something, a memory comes up. I think about sex all the time, and it's not something like, oh, that's kind of hot, I'm going to think about that later, you know. It's like, oh my god, I'm aroused, I have to do something about this. And I do, and that's a part. It's like, so I'm paying way more attention to my physical body. I have to meditate and do yoga first thing in the morning. I have to eat this breakfast that consists of oatmeal and fruit and eggs and bread and my vitamins, and it's I like, my physical body is my number one focus. Once my physical body is taken care of, I can then focus on other things. And part of taking care of my physical body is absolutely sex. So one of the things that, okay, wait, before I go there, no, maybe, okay, yeah, because I don't want to forget. I don't know if I'm going to edit this because, fuck. My focus is everywhere, and as you can see, bursts of energy just coming through me. I think I mentioned before that the orgasm itself, it feels different. I remember when I was pre-T and I was having a talk with a cis man who I trusted. I still trust, my friend, and he was asking me what I'm like in bed. Not like what are you like in bed, but like he was asking me how I vocalize in the bedroom. And my answer was, I sound like a girl, pre-T. And then he asked, like, do you growl like a man? And I was like, no, I fucking sound like a girl. And now that I have testosterone, the orgasm, it feels very different. It's very intense. It's very physical. Like, so, pre-T, when I had an orgasm, it was like, it shoots up the spine, right? And it makes your back arch, and it's very sensual and pleasant. And now the orgasm moves through my entire fucking body. Every fiber in my body is like, and I now understand the growling why men are like, because it just like takes over your whole body. It is so intense, and it's very satisfying too. It feels good. Okay, now going to that other thing. What was the other thing? I need to slow down, huh? That's what the problem is. I need to slow down. Wow, my face is red because I just came from the gym, guys. Sorry, I'm getting off track. Sex. I don't feel comfortable walking into the women's locker room. So this is the discussion I was having with someone on Instagram, because she didn't understand what the big deal was. And it's simply that my hormones are raging. I'm like a teenage boy right now. My hair is crazy too. And I'm getting aroused easily. And yes, I can go into a women's locker room and behave myself and not look at the women and treat people, you know, with honor and respect. However, even just like the passing glance and seeing naked women, that would arouse me. Even by not, I don't look at them. I'm just like, I can see them and I'm around them, and I can feel like the estrogen, and I can smell the hormones, and it arouses me. And pre-T, that wasn't a problem. Fucking, even as a lesbian, I go in, and sex was not something that I was thinking about. But it's different now, and it's not fair for me to go in there while these women can feel the presence of testosterone, and it makes them uncomfortable, and it makes me uncomfortable knowing that I'm making them uncomfortable. And so I don't belong in the women's locker room anymore. And it feels wrong. It would feel wrong even just going in there, knowing that no one can stop me from going in there because I have my lady part still. And so not going into the women's locker room is less about my gender identity or gender, and more about honoring the women and their private space. They don't go into the women's locker room and take off their clothes so that some trans guy can come in and get aroused, you know? My experience, in the feminine, my experience as a female in this body, in this world, I was born female, so I experienced life as female, and those experiences are teaching me what kind of man women need. And it's a kind of man that wouldn't go into the women's locker room, even though he could if he wanted to. And so, yeah, there, I'm done explaining that. That being said, yeah, I feel like I'm exploring different ways of pleasing myself. Sometimes when I'm frustrated, I will fucking grab my pillow and get on top of my pillow and fucking start humping my pillow like a dog. And so I'm thinking about, you know, these degrading things that we say about men. Men are dogs. Men are horn dogs. All I think about is sex. And that's not fair. Because, first of all, men aren't animals. And yes, these urges are very basic and animalistic. We see dogs hump pillows. I fucking hump my pillow. I'm just being honest. And maybe it's because my hormones are raging like a teenager, and maybe this is gonna calm down later on, or you know, maybe older men hump pillows too. I don't know. Here's the thing, like a lot of trans guys, we don't have fathers to guide us through this pubescent phase of getting on hormones. But again, we're drawing from our experiences as female, and for me, letting that teach me. Anyways, when that term boys will be boys, that term, I think it draws from these animalistic urges, but we need to remember that boys are not animals and women are not objects. And so I'm releasing so much judgment that I had about men and and a man's sexual drive, and realize that it's natural. These are natural. It's natural for me to think about sex. It's natural for me to want sex. It's natural for me to fucking hump my pillow. So I'm really wanting to heal that, and I'm also really wanting to come into these urges with utmost respect to women, knowing what they deserve, and it's not to be objectified. Yeah. So that being said, I want to talk a little bit about, I showed you guys before my 4-in-1, and I'm going to show it to you guys again. So I'm about to show you guys my prosthetic. If you don't want to see it, go away. I'm gonna show you guys some other things too. So again, this is my 4-in-1. What happened, very briefly, it's a 4-in-1, which means that you pee in here. That's the first one, pee. And like you hold it, this is the cupping, and then when you squeeze the head, opens the valve. I showed you guys that before. And there's pleasure rod. This is the rod, and it bends, right? So you slip it in, make sure you slip it in, and makes your dick hard, and you can bend it. So it's nice and bendable, right? But it's still hard. And this is pleasure for you. Okay, so we are all female, right? I don't know, a lot of you guys already know this. We all start as female. The fetus is female. I don't know all the medical terms, so sorry if I get this wrong. But basically, this is what it is. We start as female, and when the DNA somehow decides that this one's going to be male, the clitoris becomes the penis head, and it starts to grow, and that becomes a penis. And so what's happening with trans guys is the clitoris is growing, and it becomes very sensitive. And it becomes a central point of pleasure. So oral sex is big, and so this stimulates the genitalia, and so that's what it looks like, right? And so here is a sex toy that's meant for trans guys on T whose clitoris is growing or have grown. And what happens is you squeeze this and you put it on your clit, provides some suction, right? See, it's suction, and then when you pull it, it's like a kiss. It feels like it's being kissed. And there's also like these grooves inside, so when you twist it, it feels good. This is a pretty cool toy. Last weekend, I was hanging out with a friend, and we drove to the Oregon coast. It's about a 2-hour drive, and on the way back, like, I was high and I couldn't drive, so I told my friend to drive, and I was wearing this because I don't wear this all the time, but it's my STP that you can wear in your pants, and I was wearing it because I wanted to be able to stand up and pee while I was at the beach. And on my way back, so I'm chilling in the passenger seat, and I'm kind of a little bit high still. And this is like sitting against my inner thigh, right? And I kept putting my hand there. What is that? Is there a dick in my pants? It's a fucking penis. There's a dick in my pants. And it brought up some emotional memories, and some physical memories too, of having a penis. And this is peeling off. What the fuck? Anyways, sorry. And I got really emotional about it because I remembered the comfort of the male body, and how free and I felt in the male body, and what it was like to have an actual penis. And I got sad because it was like, look at what I have now. This, you know, this fake fucking shit that I don't even like wearing because it's a constant reminder that I don't have a penis. But it's a really bittersweet thing because sometimes it feels good and sometimes it makes me depressed. So what I ended up doing, because this is not something I want to wear all the time, is I bought a soft packer. I'm going to show you my soft packer. Here it is. So this is soft. You don't put anything in it, and it doesn't have any function. You can't fuck with it. Look, you can't fuck with that shit. Come on. And it just sits in your pants. And sometimes it feels good. And when it does, I'll put it in my pants, and I'll just do that. Penis in my pants. Fucking have a dick. It's a dick. That's a dick right there. Penis in my pants. What does that feel like? Do I like that? and it, like, sometimes it feels good and it makes me comfortable, and sometimes it's just like makes me depressed. But it depends on the day, and it depends on my mood. So most of the time I don't wear anything in my pants, and I'm fine. Forgot what I was gonna say. So part of the reason I'm sharing all of this with the public is so that I want to provide an appropriate space for information to be shared and questions to be asked, because this is information that is very personal, and asking trans people questions of these nature, like, it can be rude. Some trans guys are really open and they want to answer questions, but not all trans guys are like that. And it's important to realize that questions of the personal nature, like questions like, are you a boy or a girl? You're asking, what do you have in your pants? What's in there? That's very personal. It's invasive. And It doesn't always feel comfortable. So you want to ask, like, would I feel comfortable if this person was asking about my genitalia? One of the questions I was asked is if I like penetration, if I still like penetration, and that is a very personal question. I wouldn't answer that question. There was only one person I would answer that question to, and it would be the person that I was sexually interested in, because that's the only person who needs to know what I prefer in bed. And some trans guys will say, no, I don't want anything near that, no. And some trans guys would be like, yeah, it fucking feels better. And it's because that is a very personal, and it varies. Just like it would vary when you ask women if they like penetration. Same thing with men, you know. Some heterosexual men like it up the ass. I mean, and I say heterosexual because there are women who are willing to strap it on for their men. And it's not about sexual orientation, it's just about personal preferences. So anyways, instead of asking a trans person, are you a boy or a girl? What you want to ask is, what are your pronouns? And that tells you everything you need to know. If it's a he, it's a he. That's all you need to know. You don't need to know what gender they were born, and you don't need to know what's in their pants. Why would you need to know that? All you need to know is how to respect this person. It's using the masculine pronoun. This is my name. This is my pronoun. And if it's a she, it's a she. And if it's a they, then that means they are non-binary. And it's a little more complicated. And that is that's very different from person to person. So if you want to ask, you're curious and you want to ask questions, the safest thing to do is ask, can I ask you some personal questions? And that tells the person that you respect them, you know that this is personal, and it gives them the freedom to say, no, I'm not answering that. I don't even know you. Sometimes I'll say that to people, like, I don't fucking know you. Why? No. Because I want people to know this is fucking personal. You're not entitled to this information. But if you guys have questions, ask. I'm telling you, it's okay to ask in this, like, ask me on YouTube, or you could ask me on social media, like, if you see this video on Instagram or Facebook, but know that I might not answer your question. It's completely up to me. I'm trying to think if I left anything out. I don't think that I did. Love you guys.